Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
It is Friday Night Football here on Long Island, the latest chapter of this Nassau County rivalry, live here in Massapequa, New York. It is the Massapequa Chiefs hosting the Oceanside Sailors in what should be quite the showdown, with Massapequa entering a perfect 3-0 mark. Oceanside at 2-1. Both of these teams certainly not lacking offense on the young season. As we welcome you in to our broadcast booth. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us alongside Kevin Dolan. I'm Lance Meadow. Kevin, I don't know about you, I'm ultra excited about this matchup. It's a rich history between both of these programs. They've met each of the last 4 years in the playoffs. Massapequa was victorious. Both of these teams averaging nearly 50 points per game. This should be just as good as some of these previous matchups.
I was treated this year to a bombshell of a game, Oceanside Farmingdale. I think this game is going to go to nuclear levels with these two teams. They are pumped, they are excited, and the energy in this stadium is absolutely incredible.
That game that you were referring to, only 64-57 the final, and one player ran for 495 yards. So if we get that, I will gladly take that. That should be quite the showdown between both of these teams. So let's take you through the impact players for both squads. I'm going to start with the road team, Oceanside, the Sailors, and for them, it's about their running game. Chase Morris and Dylan Parker. Parker also is a defensive back, but talking with Rob Blount earlier this week, he calls them Thunder and Lightning. And no, it's not Tiki Barber and Ron Dane from the Giants days. It's the Detroit Lions. He compares them to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They've combined for 8 rushing touchdowns. You see Morris's numbers. They have been so smart and so savvy out of the backfield. Then on the flip side, in terms of what Massapequa will bring to the table, it will also be about their rushing attack as well, because they have a lot of talent in the backfield, but specifically when you refer to what they're working with, Andrew Pedalino, he leads the way with 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. He's going to be leaning on a veteran offensive line. Nolan Wieserak is their left guard, but he's also their leading tackler at the linebacking position. So you've got the key guy on offense, as well as the man that is going to steer the ship in the middle of their defense. And both of these teams are looking to square away their defenses, given that this could be their biggest test by far of the season, at least from Massapequa's standpoint. So let's take you through the keys to today's game. And Kevin, we're going to have you run through. We spoke with both coaches. Why don't you take us through what Oceanside and Massapequa is preparing for?
It's so important for Rob Blount and the Sailors to limit the big plays. They had difficulty in doing that a couple of times this season. They've got to control that. They need to establish the run game. And I don't think we've really seen the best of the Oceanside run game because they throw the ball so much. And, of course, winning in the trenches is always critical. For Massapequa, they're thinking about those trenches as well. Very athletic, but not big like you saw. Limit the explosive plays and not only win the turnover battle, but score on those turnovers.
And that is going to be key for Massapequa, especially since they're going up against an Oceanside team that is averaging 53 points per game. And we mentioned they lost that heartbreaker to Farmingdale. That was a 60. This was last year, the semifinals in 2024, and these teams are so familiar with one another. And last year, it was a 41-24 victory for Massapequa, as their offense did not miss a beat, and they ultimately went on to claim some hardware. So the familiarity component, Kevin, is also something that can't be overlooked as they square off for the first time this season.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you're talking about two legacy towns here. You got grandfathers that played for both of these programs, brothers and fathers, and it's just so important to this community and to these kids, and it comes back also to these coaches, my friend. You know, they teach these kids all the important stuff about this game, from sportsmanship to service to sacrifice. We're in for a real treat tonight, Lance.
As we see Massapequa taking the field, this is going to be their third home game in the span of 4 contests. Oceanside has been on the road once at Uniondale as they opened up this season with a 51-6 victory. And these are two teams, once again, in midseason form already when you look at them from an offensive standpoint. We'll step aside when we come back. We'll have the opening kickoff, starting lineups. It's Massapequa against Oceanside here on Long Island, the latest chapter of the Nassau County rivalry on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
And we are back here in Massapequa, New York. As you can see, the wind's starting to pick up at about 9 miles, 66 degrees. The temperature here as we approach the opening kickoff, and something to keep close tabs on. Both teams have really strong kicking games, but you just have to wonder, Kevin, whether or not if this game remains close, the decision-making, at least from both coaching staffs, will be based on some of these windy conditions.
You can't overstate, Lance, how important special teams become in these tightly contested contests. And wind, decisions you have to make at halftime or which side you're going to defend become absolutely critical.
So Massapequa and Oceanside squaring off in what has been an annual tradition, not just in the regular season, but the playoffs. Massapequa has won 8 of the last 10 showdowns. And talking with Rob Blount earlier this week, Oceanside's head coach, he didn't shy away from the fact they've had our number, and they're looking to clearly turn the corner here on the road this evening. As this is a team that, Kevin, you referred to that game that you called at Farmingdale a few weeks back. It's amazing that that game was decided by only 7 points, given they gave up 500 rushing yards in that game.
And that game could have gone either way. There was, you know, I know we all talk about that tremendous running effort, but the pass game of Oceanside was absolutely incredible. Shane Harmon was on fire, as were his receivers and his offensive line. Really, really impressive.
Well, Shane Harmon and company will get the ball first. Massapequa won the toss and elected to defer. So that means we will see Shane Harmon and the rest of his unit as they're looking to set the tone early in this contest. He is thrown for 8 touchdowns with 1 interception. So you really love that ratio, and ball security is a key that both teams emphasize. It goes without saying, Kevin, as you read through the keys to the game off the top, and given how it seems it's so easy for both of these teams to score, the last thing you want to do is give either one of them an extra possession early in this game.
Extra opportunities will just kill you. But you know what's another thing that's going to affect this game, Lance? And I can see it right now out there on the street. This place is packed right now, but you're looking at over 100 cars looking for parking spots on the streets, on different areas here in South Massapequa. It is going to be loud and proud all night long tonight.
Well, I would say they could whip out their phone and watch on Varsity Media Sports Network. That's the beauty and the convenience of the technology here, so they don't have to worry about the angle that they take.
Absolutely. And you get the replays from Becca. We're all set.
There you go. Absolutely. As Massapequa will be kicking off with Chris Becerra. He takes on all 3 roles as their place kicker, their punter, and kickoffs. And back to receive for Oceanside, Jacob Stern and Nick Carentz, 2 of their dangerous athletes that when they could get out in open space, they could do plenty of damage. As we are getting underway here in Massapequa, New York, on Varsity Media Sports Network. It'll go into the end zone for a touchback. No return there. And we will get our first look at the Sailors offense, one that is coming off a 51-14 victory over Port Washington last week. Prior to that was the loss at Farmingdale, and then they top Uniondale. So here's Shane Harmon. We see his numbers on the season as he's completing 65% of his passes with over 500 yards through the air and 8 touchdowns. No major hiccups for him in the early stages of the season. He's also an athlete. He's run 13 times for over 100 yards, so he can extend plays.
You know, Lance, it's not only is he a very capable quarterback with an extremely high IQ, he is hardy. He takes collisions, he keeps getting up, and it's that heroism of his that inspires his club.
So they'll put Chase Morris in motion. He's going to get the handoff, looking for the edge, and he gets some flexibility there as he tries to get down towards the 30-yard line as Oceanside comes out running the football.
Little different for Oceanside, Lance, right there, opening up with a jet sweep, get that ball in the hands of their best players, and really stretch out this field.
We take a look at the offensive starters for Oceanside. You just saw Chase Morris, who leads the team in carries, rushing, and rushing touchdowns. Nick Carentz, one of their dangerous wide receivers, and Jacob Stern, who tops the team in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, is one of their main weapons and a player that they could look to get out in the open field. Extremely versatile in terms of his talent. Again, using players in motion. Harmon's going to keep it himself, and he's going to get about a 5-yard pickup as he's brought down after the offensive line created an initial push.
Boy, the Cortland-bound number 78, Andrew Guida. What a block. He is big and tough, 6'2", 250 pounds. Beautiful way to start this game.
As we look at the Massapequa Chiefs starting defense, and this is a unit that prides itself on some veterans up front, specifically Jack Mulligan and Alex Van Skyler, their 2 defensive ends. And then the linebacking core led, of course, by Wiezorek, who we highlighted off the top of the broadcast, the team-high 9 tackles as they give it up to Dylan Parker off the fake pass. And Massapequa not fooled there. They read it beautifully off of the left side.
Boy, look at Giovanni Teresi get in there with that body tackle. The toughest thing to do in football is open field tackle, no doubt about it. And that was a textbook example by Giovanni.
Teresi, the junior, who came in with 4 tackles and an interception. This is his first year on varsity. He was on JV last season. So 3rd and 5 here for Oceanside as they try to keep this drive alive as we approach the 9.5-minute mark here in quarter number 1. And we have seen all runs, Morris, Parker, and Harmon, and Oceanside now is going to call a timeout. They want to talk things over based on the look that they received from Massapequa. And Massapequa, talking to Kevin Chippos this week, he had said that, they're preparing to have their secondary probably be tested more so than any other game this week because of Oceanside's tendency and capacity to also air it out. But so far it's been the ground attack.
Yeah, and you know what? Those run fits are going to be so critical for those defensive backs.
As we take a look at the history between both of these programs, we mentioned it off the top. They've met in each of the last 4 years in the playoffs. The semis in 2024, the semis in 23, the quarters in 22, and then the final in 21. So there is familiarity galore across the board here between both of these programs. But Massapequa, as you can see based on the scores, has dominated.
I love that word, familiarity. No love lost between these two clubs tonight.
No doubt about it. Both coaches have a great deal of respect for one another, but when they collide and meet, the friendship goes to the wayside. Right now, they're looking to move the chains here, Oceanside, on a 3rd and 5, and Harmon's got time, and he's going to make a strike up the left sideline, and that is going to be good for a first down as he finds Jacob Stern right towards the sideline.
Boy, beautiful pass. Great protection. He could have had a cup of coffee back there. And great job of Stern of playing that sideline. He's the only one that could have caught that ball.
So Stern with his team-high 9th reception of the season. A 3-year starter. Rob Blount calls him one of the toughest players on the roster because he takes on any assignment and they can move him around as they see fit. So a fresh set of downs here for the Sailors on this opening drive here in Massapequa, New York. And again, they go towards the left side. This time it's Nick Carentz for a short gain, but it'll set up a manageable second down as Carentz comes through with his 4th catch of the young season.
You know, Lance, Massapequa plays a lot of guys up near that line of scrimmage. And with Oceanside, but this quick release football that they're playing right now really takes away the possibility that stunting and bringing more kids down is going to be helpful. So they've got some tough matchups out there. Excellent game plan by Rob Blount in this opening series.
Not giving an opportunity for Massapequa to pin their ears back or get to the quarterback as Anthony Dinello has 2 sacks. One of their linebackers, they go back to the ground, and this is Dylan Parker trying to look for an alley, and he is brought backwards with authority, and the aforementioned Anthony Dinello at the center of that.
Oh, yeah. Look at this penetration by Anthony Dinello. Gets himself small. Oh, and there, who else do we have in there? Look at that with Nolan Wiezorek. Oh, He is tearing it up out there. Talk about a legacy player. His brother was one heck of a linebacker. Plays lacrosse up at UMass right now. And his brother Nolan is just a chip off the old block.
He was first-team All-State in football, was named Nassau County's top linebacker. His brother Ryan, again, another quick pass, and he finds Carentz to move the chains as they continue to rely on that short attack.
Oceanside really investing in this quick release, short game, patience. So many people out there talk about Oceanside as almost a Ringling Brothers offense. Big plays, one after the other. I love this patient approach. I even like that early timeout, Lance. Everybody wants to score on that first series. It sends a message and fires up your team and your fan base.
So what you're insinuating is they may be bringing the circus to town here in Massapequa, New York. Maybe they got some tricks up their sleeve here on a 1st and 10. And Harmon fakes the pass. He gives it up to Parker, who spins off across a few defenders. And another nice pickup on the ground as they've been very successful on their early downs thus far.
Now, for those of you at home, you're watching this. This is a different version. It's a little bit of a shovel pass inside, but what this sets up later on for those deep circus-like passes, I think we're going to see that before the half.
So we've seen Dylan Parker be showcased as Chase Morris back in the game as they shuffle personnel in and out. So this is a bit of a wildcat formation. Harmon went to the sideline. Nick Carentz is now operating as the quarterback. Now, he's the backup. So this is not something that they brought off the street. This is a formation and personnel that they've utilized, and apparently want to talk things over here as they look to continue this drive on 2nd and 6. And you see the motion pre-snap. You see the running backs. Harmon's basically taking what the defense is giving him. He's not trying to press the envelope, Kevin.
And, they're subbing a lot of players here right now. The kids are pumped. The kids are excited. Rob Blount, great head coach, a great football mind here at Oceanside. He knows the importance of this series. Call those timeouts. Get it right. Keep your kids confident. They're doing a wonderful job. In fairness, Massapequa defense is doing nothing wrong. They're tackling hard. They're playing bend but don't break. This is going to be an exciting series right here.
Rob Blount has been leading this program for Oceanside going back to 2009. From 06 to 08, he was the quarterback coach in OC at Lawrence. He has been a staple of this program, and you can say the same thing about Kevin Shippos in his 15th year at the helm here at Massapequa. And they're going to come back out with Carentz in between their two running backs. And Carentz is going to keep it, and he has an opening, and he's going to take a few defenders with him en route to a first down. So the wide receivers and the running backs all doing the heavy lifting.
Once again, you see this replay. Watch the push we're getting from this offensive line. Old number 55 right there, Alex Van Schuyler. What a great surface he gets on that player to open up that hole.
And you've got to love both Morris and Parker, the running backs, leading the way for their teammate, the wide receiver, as both of those players certainly do not shy away from the physicality of the game. Morris actually is a 3-time all-county wrestler with over 100 wins, so this is right up his alley. And they'll go it with the conventional backs, and another strong pickup on the ground as this was Carentz who got into the thick of things once again.
Once again, folks, you see Cooper Goodwin right there really stepping up. Right tackle for Oceanside, doing a great job of getting push and opening holes for the Sailors. Lance, I got to stick with those linemen. I'm going to meet some of these guys over at All-American Burger after this game is over. Make sure we feed these kids.
Well, I hope you're not picking up the tab because that's going to be one expensive bill, Kevin, given the personnel you're referring to. Offensive linemen, they've got quite the appetite after a contest.
Varsity Media's got my back.
Okay, well, listen, that's good to know. As Carentz is going to keep it again. Not much happening off the left side, and he is brought down with authority. That was Anthony Dinello coming in on the stop.
What a penetration, what a play, fighting off that block. And there's Ryan Chavez also getting his hat in there. Beautiful play by Massapequa. We're watching really great football right now. I mean, technically, physicality, energy-wise, these kids have come out here to play tonight.
Well, one of the things Rob Blount said is this game, and it may be cliche, is going to be decided in the trenches because you use the same personnel in terms of your offensive linemen and your defensive linemen. So you're talking about 14, 15 kids are going to determine this one. As they go to the run again, they need 2 yards to pick it up. And it depends on where they spot it here to determine whether or not they're going to move the chains. And it does not look like he made it to the first down marker, so that'll set up a 4th and short.
Boy, Jack Mulligan, look at number 53 over here from Massapequa. Jack Mulligan really holding down the edge. That doesn't happen unless he makes him turn that up so short. Great play, Jack.
That was Chase Morris trying to find an opening. So Rob Blount is going to keep his offense out of the field. 1 yard they need to keep this drive alive. This is a game where, given the track record of both of these offenses, you don't want to settle for field goals. You want to be able to punch it in. So Morris now operating as the Wildcat quarterback, and he perfectly maneuvers his way up the left side for that first down.
And you know, a lot of this, Lance, is not set in stone where he has to run. He's looking up. Watch this. He looks for that bubble right there that he sees. His linemen do a great job of fanning in and out. Great choice by Chase.
And that was Michael Ippolito and Cole Villalta who saved what could have been a touchdown after that initial burst. As Chase Morris already has 6 touchdowns on the ground. And with 2.5 minutes and counting, they continue to milk this clock. Massapequa has not had possession of the football yet in the first quarter. This is still the opening drive in case you're just joining us. And again, Morris operating out of the Wildcat. He loves that left side. He has the edge. He's knocked out a play by Villalta, but another positive pickup on first down.
I think we're going to see this one come back, Lance. Alex Van Schuyler, he gets a nice penetration and gets pulled down in the backfield. You know, when you're zone blocking, it's new school blocking. When you're zone blocking, you've got to run your feet and run your hands, and sometimes, you know, it just puts you in a hold situation.
So the first negative play, a hold against
Here we go.
Oceanside.
There's your hold, and it happens. Kids are working hard, 55 on 55.
So that's Nick Greco operating against Alex Van Schuyler. Greco, the left tackle for Oceanside, the senior who's a first-year starter. So that will back them up as they operate on a 1st and 19. And you wonder whether or not they're going to open up the passing attack a little bit to try to gain some of this yardage back. Harmon's got a clean pocket as he'll look to extend the play. He's going to take a shot into the end zone, and it's just going to drop into no man's land. You had Carentz in the vicinity, as well as Jacob Stern.
And great coverage right there by Jason LaRosa. Out there, giving great equal pressure on the receiver. Excellent job. You know, to your point earlier, Lance, it's going to be interesting. Ryan Pender has a leg that's fully capable of hitting this field goal. The important point, I think, for the Sailors is to put points on the board. With all of this possession, they need to come out with some points.
Pender, the 2-time All-State kicker the last 2 years. Without any hesitation, Rob Blount has referred to him as the best kicker they've ever had. And this program's got a great track record of producing quarterbacks as well as kickers, so it's no surprise. But this would be a chip shot based on his standard if they stalled out here. But they're looking for more. And Harmon's going to take another shot into the end zone, and it's a strike to Nick Carentz for an opening drive touchdown as Carentz comes through with his second of the year, and it's Oceanside, which makes a huge early statement here on the road.
So much for the field goals, Lance. Let's go right for the end zone. What a dime he drops in here. First look at that pass protection and just heaves it out. And you know something, Lance, these two kids are probably doing this every day out on the practice field, just warming up, waiting for coach.
That was Jason LaRosa, who was defending Carentz. You could tell he wanted that previous throw back that landed between two of his teammates. And talk about perfect timing and perfect placement. So now we will see Ryan Pender, who will come out to kick the extra point. And that'll be a 7-0 advantage for Oceanside with just a minute 36 to go here in the first quarter. So not only, Kevin, do you score a touchdown and you finish this drive, but you also maximize the clock for nearly an entire quarter here.
Can't score if you don't have it. And, everybody, it's so cliche. Everybody talks about that and the importance of possession. It's another thing to do it. And that was, we talk about the textbook. That was a textbook example of keeping your kids calm and controlling the football. Beautiful possession by Oceanside.
And with Pender tacking on the extra point, he's now 22 of 23 on the season. And Massapequa's offense has been watching from the sideline for a lengthy period of time. You can only imagine what they are anticipating with their first chance under the tutelage of Luke Gargiulo. So the kickoff here from Pender, and Massapequa with Joe Brooks and Cole Villalta. Jason LaRosa also involved in the return game. They have a variety of different options that they can turn to. We had a touchback on the opening kickoff. This is going to be returnable for Massapequa, and the Chiefs are going to get a nice return for great starting field positioning out at the 35-yard line.
Beautiful seam right there. Beautiful seam. Great inside-out blocking by the Chiefs right there. That's the way to start out your next possession. Wonderful job.
So Luke Gargiulo will have just about 15 yards to get it to midfield. And that takes an immense amount of pressure off of him as he now has to solve this Oceanside defense for the first time this evening with his team trailing 7-0 as we look at Gargiulo out on the field here. The 6-foot junior who is completing 90% of his passes, 18 of 20, with 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. He's also run in for 3 scores, and we're going to have a stoppage of play right out of the gates as a flag comes in. And we're going to get a false start. So that'll back him up 5 yards as our head ref is Seth Brown tonight.
This offense, you pointed out earlier, Lance, this offense has been sitting on the sideline now for 23 minutes. And there's going to be a little bit of nerves out there. They're chomping at the bit to get at this game. Just got to settle down and run your plays.
And Gargiulo's going to float one, and it was bobbled by Tyler Burns. So that'll be an incomplete pass, and it'll set up 2nd and 15. As we look at the Massapequa starting offense, you saw Burns, one of their wide receivers. Andrew Pedalino is their top rusher. Cole Villalta leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Gavin Farley, a first-year starter, in the mix as well. And this is an offensive line that is not the tallest, not the thickest, but they've got great movement up front, and they're trying to create something for Gargiulo, and he's going to go nowhere on that one. And it's right at the center of the defensive stop is Benny Jakovsky, the outside linebacker for Oceanside. And speaking of that, we see the rest of their defensive alignment with Michael Lewis anchoring at the nose tackle. Then when you look at their linebacking core, they move a variety of different personnel around. Jason Halpern, who's also their tight end, plays that jet position, number 88. So he's a player to watch out for in the early goings as well. As the final 50 seconds ticking away here in the first quarter with a 3rd and 14 needing to be converted for Massapequa to move the chains. And Gargiulo's going to step up in the pocket. He's going to take a shot deep down the field, and it's a little too far of the reach of Gavin Farley.
It's interesting. Luke looks like he's having a little bit of trouble getting a hold of the ball tonight. Ball's got a bit of a wobble to it when it's released from his hands. You know what? And he needs a series to settle down as well, and I'm sure he will.
So the false start set them back immediately, and instead of 1st and 10, it was 1st and 15, and they couldn't get out in front of the chains. So Massapequa now punting with Chris Becerra. And here is Jacob Stern. Stern's going to use the left side, and he's going to be brought down after initial surge at the 35.
Oh, what a collision by Brady Gilchrist. Beautiful open field tackle. You know, I wanted to point out, Lance, Anthony Danello, that was a college long snap that we just saw on that punt. You know, sometimes we don't think about those long snappers, and those guys, if you don't have them, you've got serious trouble on your hands.
As we see with so many players on these rosters, they do double duty. Danello, an outstanding linebacker, but also chips in on special teams. So the second possession here for Oceanside, and huge, as they'll take over here late in the first quarter, trying to build off their 7-0 advantage. It was a run-heavy attack before the passing touchdown to Carentz. They put Parker in motion. He's going to get the handoff from Harmon, and they're able to plug the hole Massapequa, as we saw a lot of action up front. Lucas Benucci and company there to make the stop.
Beautiful play by Jack Mulligan right there, and Tristan, just a great job of flattening the line of scrimmage and stretching out that play.
So 1 quarter in the books here in Massapequa, New York, with Oceanside leading 7-0 as they went the distance on their opening drive, with Harmon connecting with Carentz as we step aside on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Lance Beto, Kevin Dolan back here with you in Massapequa, New York. And it's not just about football this week, Kevin. The Massapequa football team really made quite the stance against bullying. One of their fellow classmates had a run-in with 30 students on bikes, and it was the football team in conjunction with the soccer team and the kickline team that allowed him to have a safe arrival in school.
As a teacher of 36 years, you're just so proud of these kids. You're so proud of the work that they do, and they get it. They understand that we're here for each other, and you got to love that.
So play resumes here to start the second quarter as Harmon is going to keep it himself, and off the right side, he spins down right near the first down marker. He's going to be about a yard shy, but a good start for their offense here to begin the second. And this is the image of the football players as well as other athletes escorting Tyler Roach Tilden, who was the student that was being bullied, and making sure that nobody was going to mess with him as he arrived at school.
And that is not a crowd you're going to mess with.
As Massapequa trying to bottle up this attack on the ground for Oceanside. That was Nick Carentz on the carry. As we've seen him very much involved as a receiver for the touchdown, as well as a quarterback and a running back.
And on the defensive side, Giovanni Teresi, this young man is all over the place. He body tackles, he runs, he goes sideline to sideline. Beautiful job.
And his older brother Tristan is also a member of the team, as Harmon has all the time in the world. He's going to take off himself into Massapequa territory after he's tripped up from behind.
Oh, Nolan Wieserak, that dog can hunt. Oh, man, watch this. He's looking downfield, plenty of time. Now he's got to scramble. And here comes Mr. Wieserak. Woo! Beautiful job. Well done. And great decision by the quarterback to get out of there and try to get as much as he can.
And he did. He wound up with 4 yards
Yep.
by taking off and utilizing his legs. His Wieserak showcasing his versatility, an all-around athlete, just like his older brother Ryan. And on a 2nd and 6 here, Harmon is going to hand it off. Met with a collision at the 45-yard line for another nice pickup.
Oceanside is proving their commitment to stay with the run game. And you know what? When you do that, it can be frustrating. You're not always going to get the play you want. Sometimes you got to go with the play you get. Great to see Dylan Milio, number 17, getting his big body in there on that tackle. Pride of Massapequa.
We saw Anthony Dinello also involved. He's been very active for the Chiefs. His time of possession is on opposite ends of the spectrum right now in this game as we are under 9.5 minutes here in the second quarter. It was a 3-and-out for Massapequa on their first possession, so here is possession number 2. And Harmon off the slant. He gets it to Carentz, who is able to spin his way towards the 25-yard line as Harmon relying on one of his top targets to move the chains.
True RPO football. What a great read. What an awesome read by Shane Harmon. And he zips that ball out there on the slant. Really great job, the RPO aspect of the game.
And that was another key tackle by Michael Ippolito, their cornerback, to prevent a touchdown as they mix in the run yet again. We're seeing a balanced attack from the Sailors. And that was Chase Morris able to continue to test this Chiefs defensive front. So now we've got Dylan Parker out of the backfield with a fresh set of downs. And Parker maneuvers his way from right to left as they are in the red zone and inside the 10.
Tell you, Lance, this is a different Oceanside team than played against Farmingdale. They were outstanding against Farmingdale. They were tough. They made big plays. What I'm seeing out here offensively is maturity. Real maturity. They're taking their time and really executing.
So 2nd and 5 for Oceanside. Harmon initially thought he was going to surge ahead, but then tripped up for a minimal gain.
Massapequa defense is not going away. They are playing very, very tough. I think their problem right now is defensively, we're just playing too much football. Got to slow these guys down. We need to get possession. Turnover would be nice.
When you take into consideration the volume of snaps that this defense has been out on the field, Oceanside just trying to wear down that front. Here's Morris, and Morris is going to cut through a lot of traffic. He's going to reach out to the end zone, and it is going to be a touchdown. Chase Morris with an extraordinary second effort. He's in for his 7th rushing score. And this is an Oceanside team that means business with a double-digit lead here in the second quarter.
Once again, some major blocks here by guys like Andrew Gadahi. And then at the end, look at that collision by number 6 on Massapequa, Andrew Pedalino. But Chase Morris drives through that body tackle.
So that was running back on running back crime. You can describe that because Pedalino is the running back for Massapequa. As we look at the special teams unit, Pender is going to have his extra point, somehow sail through. It looked like somebody got a deflection of it, and it was an interesting floater, but all that matters is it went through the uprights for a 14-0 lead.
Watch this, watch this. Watch the blocking up front. It's a wall of humanity. Here's the tackle. Here it comes. Boom! Oh, leg drive puts Chase right into the end zone. Outstanding job. Great second effort.
As Andrew Petalino came out of nowhere to try to prevent Morris, but he fought through it. And Oceanside on the road here with a 2-touchdown lead over Massapequa with under 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. And they have dominated time of possession. But, Kevin, as you were noting early, time of possession is great. It's all about what you do with it. Well, they've got 2 touchdowns to show.
Yeah, and that's the killer. That is the killer, is that they're putting points on the board. And Massapequa, until we see it, I haven't seen Massapequa as that quick score team. They're steady. They move the chains. We're getting into the need for quick scores.
It could very well change the game plan for Kevin Chipos and company in terms of wanting to dial up that home run as opposed to methodically moving the ball up and down the field, as Pender is going to get set to kick off. And a huge return here for Massapequa could go a long way as they're looking for a spark from special teams. Bobbled initially, and they're going to get out across the 25-yard line. That was Jason LaRosa on the return.
Once again, a beautiful return by Jason. He takes his time as he enters up the field. As soon as he sees that seam, he puts on the gas. Well, you know what, Lance? This is a big series for Massapequa. There's a lot of football to play tonight, but this is a series where they need to send a message. They need at minimum to move these chains a number of times and show that they can challenge this Oceanside defense.
Well, this is a Massapequa offense that is averaging 49 points per game over their first 3 contests. And Kevin Chipos made it very clear early in the week. He said, listen, our starters have only played 3 halves because we've been involved in blowouts in the second half. So he's still really trying to get a feel for his team, and that's why he said this is going to be the litmus test. And so far, they are being pushed with their backs against the wall, and they come out running the football. And it is that defensive front for Oceanside that makes sure that Petalino does not have much flexibility.
Yep, look at Oceanside here. They're just daring Massapequa to throw the football. They're getting those secondary kids down inside on those run fits. And here's an example, Antonio Catrino. That guy plays safety. Look at him sliding down in there.
We also saw Michael Lucas, the nose tackle, try to poke the ball out from behind. Petalino looking for the edge. A flag comes in, and he's tackled from behind by Benny Jakowski. We'll wait to see what the call is after a short game. And it's going to be a hold against Massapequa, so they'll be moving backwards.
Penalties, turnovers, these are all one and the same. We see this here on the edge. Number 52 from Oceanside, Benny Tchaikovsky getting held there on the edge just a little too much. This is where the Massapequa kids have to clean up their offense and not repeat those mistakes.
He was being held by Dinello, their tight end and fullback. So it's 2nd and 18. And Gargiulo, who we mentioned coming in, completing 90% of his passes, had 2 incompletions on the opening drive. He's going to go opposite side of the field, and that is going to be a connection to Tyler Burns, who's wrapped up immediately after securing it.
Beautiful pass. I mean, this is something these 2 guys do all spring in the lacrosse season. And beautiful pass, and I love the way he's thinking. Don't go for the whole set. Take half of what you need, and now you live to play another play. Great job, great execution.
And a nice tackle by Luke Miller to prevent Burns from getting any yardage after the catch. So it does set up 3rd and 9 here, a manageable down after the holding penalty. Can Gargiulo work his magic? And he dumps it off, and that is going to be a first down and then some. Cole Vallota, their top wide receiver, putting the Oceanside defense on skates.
Look at this little dipsy-doodle move that Cole puts on Oceanside. What a beautiful play. Boy, that's a move he's been doing probably since he was a young Mustang. Outstanding job. And that was a break that Massapequa needed here. We're starting to turn the field around.
He took Bay Alexander for a ride on that last play. Back to the ground, and Petalino bulldozing his way out towards the 40-yard line, and as all of a sudden, this Massapequa offense showing some signs of life.
We get to see Tristan Teresi right here, Lucas Benucci. What a great job of blocking and opening that edge. It's always interesting to me, Lance, that what one big play can do to excite your team and spark that fire. And we're seeing that right now for the Chiefs.
Chase Morris tried to come in to tackle Petalino. Petalino said, hey, I know you got past me for the touchdown. I'm going to return the favor. Petalino is faking the handoff, and that opens it up like the Red Sea for Gargiulo, who does get the home run for a rushing touchdown, and Massapequa cutting into the deficit with an explosive play.
Welcome to Conference 1, everybody. Here we go. Here we go. Wow. And that did open up like the Red Sea. What a gap. And once again, folks, that's RPO football. That's all up to Luke to read and make that decision for himself as to what's the best way to go. And he made a great decision there.
That fake was so good, our entire camera crew was faked out as well as Gargiulo just took it right up the gut for his 4th rushing touchdown. We look at the special teams unit as Anthony Dinello, the long snapper, and here is Chris Bissetta to try to cut the deficit in half. And the kick is straight through. 14-7 Oceanside, thanks to this play by their quarterback.
What a play right there. And you can't not talk about the follow-up block by Anthony Dinello, getting himself up through that hole. Look at this. Wow. Wow, and he turns on those Jets. No shortage of athletes out on this field.
Well, Kevin, Gargiulo came in 2nd on the team in carries, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns. So that's nothing new. They tap into his athleticism, and he made Oceanside pay for opening things up in the middle of the defense. But you talk about time of possession, just being dominated by Oceanside. You mentioned maybe they need to open things up, get a big home run play. Well, they did, but just like that, in the blink of an eye, you turn a 14-0 deficit in half with still 4.5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Absolutely. And I think we should fully expect at this point in the game that Massapequa was going to turn around right now, and we're going to see Chris Bichetta kick this thing to Mars and just really play solid defense, which they've been doing. They got to get Oceanside to punt.
So Jacob Stern and Nick Karentz back to receive the kickoff. As Oceanside looking to issue a response, and off the bounce, they'll field it. And somehow finding a little bit of an alley there is Stern as he brings it out towards the 30-yard line.
I don't think people realize how difficult of a play that was for Jacob Stern. He picked that short ball is a whole new dynamic in how to catch it, and he picked it up on the short hop and brought that right up the field.
And what made it even more challenging is the contact came just as he was securing the football there, Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of room for him to make an adjustment, and that's why there is risk under those circumstances. So Oceanside, we've seen them air it out to Nick Carentz. We have seen Chase Morris's toughness on full display. That accounts for both of their touchdowns, and here is their third possession as they're 2 for 2 thus far tonight. And they come out with Carentz operating as the Wildcat quarterback, and a flag comes in as this was a false start.
Boy, it's amazing, Lance, how things do turn around sometimes. You know, Oceanside is dominating this game, and the next thing you know, Massapequa comes out, and now we got the Sailors committing those costly penalties.
And remember, speaking of penalties, it was a false start penalty early on in this game against Massapequa, and then we saw a hold, and they were facing a 2nd and 18, and they got out of that to score a touchdown. So here's a 1st and 15. Carentz surges through and gets tripped up at the 30 for a short gain.
Boy, that was a huge tackle because that play had the ability to open, wide open. Look at this seam that he finds, and then you got old number 7, old Trusty over there, all right, with Cole Villalta coming up and finishing it off.
So Villalta getting it done on both ends. We saw him make a big catch on a 3rd and 9 to extend Massapequa's last drive, and now getting a stop on Carentz, who is still operating as the Wildcat quarterback, but he hands it off to Morris, and Morris is eaten up by that front as Alex Van Skyler and company were able to wrap him up.
Boy, Alex really envelops Chase right here. Whoa, look at that. He puts every ounce of his body into that tackle.
Van Skyler, the senior captain, also a baseball player.
Speaking to one of the Massapequa coaches, they were talking to me about Van Skyler and his leadership out there and how much he's respected by his teammates and his coaches.
A vocal presence who provides a lot of energy as Harmon lets it rip to Carentz, and that is going to move the chains as he and Carentz have been on the same page today.
Now, you know, I've been beaten up on the Oceanside offense a little bit by cheering for Massapequa on this series, but Oceanside they find an answer. This entire night, they're finding answers to get them out of trouble.
And it's the short passing game that has done a lot of the heavy lifting, specifically with Carentz, who has worked that sideline so effectively. As we approach the 2.5-minute mark in the second quarter, and Harmon is going to fake the handoff. They set up a screen here, and Massapequa not fooled as Carentz is brought down, and at the center of it is Giovanni Tarasi.
Boy, this is a beautifully executed play. Look at that zone all the way back to the field, and they throw it back. Great discipline by Massapequa, staying down on the backside and making that play.
Van Skyler was out there as well. Well-disciplined defensive performances here across the board for the Chiefs. As Oceanside taking its time, trying to milk this clock here with a 2nd and 9. And they're going to put Dylan Parker in the slot. He's right in the middle of the screen, number 21. And Rob Blount looks to be irritated on the sideline as they're going to call their squad back over to talk things over. It's going to be a timeout for the Sailors, who right now are in sync from all angles, specifically their various weapons who they've been trying to get out in open space. Nick Carentz, as we look at the recent history for Oceanside, last 3 seasons, you see the conference semis each of the last 2 years and the conference final in 2022. They last won the county title in 2017, and the team that ousted them is the squad that they're going up against here today, Massapequa. And hard to believe that that's not weighing on their minds as they take the field this evening. Though, from talking to both coaches, they said they got to walk the fine line, Kevin, and you can attest this as a former coach yourself. you can't make so much out of this game because it's not for the Nassau County title. Right now it's just early stage regular season.
And to that point, I agree with you, Lance. And to that point, you got to be careful of looking back in history. It becomes a distraction issue for the boys. Play, get the cliches, play this play right now. This is the most important thing in their life. This play right now, and they'll find out what happens at the end. But there is such a great rivalry between the two clubs.
They put Parker in motion, and instead they hand it off to Morris.
A lot of moving parts on that play. Fake on the jet sweep, and then they drop it almost like a draw to Morris. Very interesting play.
So it'll be a 3rd and manageable here for Oceanside as they again put Parker in motion. And the inside handoff creates a first down as that caught, once again, Massapequa off guard, and Morris was able to wiggle through.
Again, it was like the last play in reverse. They kind of switched up the roles, put it in the hands of their best running back. Great call, great execution. Well, this is a tough situation now. Oceanside is out of timeouts, and
off the fake handoff, Harmon's going deep down the field and nearly intercepted by Villalta.
And the field goal that we were talking about earlier would be very important for Oceanside to gain, especially with Massapequa getting possession coming out in the second half.
Well, Ryan Pender, who we were talking about earlier, the 2-time All-State kicker, he's got range in the 50s. He actually, Rob Blount said he kicked a 52-yard field goal in a scrimmage against Garden City. So they may test him depending on how this drive pans out. And we have some movement on the Massapequa defensive line, but they were able to regroup. And Harmon looking towards the sideline to see how they're going to attack this on a 2nd and 10, and a quick release. And again, he finds Carentz, who gets past one would-be tackler, keeps himself afloat, and spins out towards the sideline to move the chains yet again.
And again, very sharp play right here. I mean, the goal for Oceanside was to get a little closer, to get a manageable situation, but that effort by Nick is just outstanding. And now we've really changed. If it's possibly a field goal, we've really changed the thinking.
Carentz making multiple guys miss. Dinello lost his footing as he was trying to make the tackle and then got up quickly to help push Carentz out of play. So Oceanside at the 22-yard line with 39 seconds to go here in the second quarter, trying to pad their touchdown lead. This is their 3rd possession. They have scored touchdowns on each of their first 2.
Tell you, Lance, I don't quite understand what's going on down here. We're having a discussion between the field and the box regarding the game clock, but at the same time, Oceanside is basically getting the benefit of a timeout that they don't have. This is very, very fortunate for the Sailors, this logistical problem.
As they're adjusting it from 39 seconds to 44 seconds. When you don't have microphones on the high school level, you got to use hand signals. So a little bit different on the communication front. So Harmon, not only does he get a timeout to your point, but he gets 5 extra seconds to toy with. Solo backfield, again to Carentz, who manipulates the defense in his direction as he was right near the first down marker. As you're going to see, he immediately looked up the field, and it looked like he was able to move the chains on that one.
I think he came up a little short. I got a little nervous, though, with that inside move that he wasn't going to get to the sideline. But great recovery and gets himself to stop that clock.
Yeah, so they marked him out just a yard shy as he was operating up the right sideline. But the clock did stop, which is the most important aspect here.
Very interesting formation for those of you who like that kind of stuff watching tonight that Oceanside is using. It's an empty backfield, meaning no running backs. They're using a tight end for the extra blocker, and now they're forcing Massapequa to cover people one-on-one. Very, very difficult formation.
So they're going to adjust the clock once again to 39 seconds. As Oceanside trying to punch it in for the third time in as many tries tonight. Harmon with a clean pocket, airs it out into the end zone, and Carents again, 2 for 2 with his second receiving touchdown, and Oceanside putting on an absolute clinic with its third touchdown of the night.
Look at how soft he throws this ball. They're just under control, drops it right in the bucket. Beautiful, beautiful play by Shane. And, of course, Nick comes up with a great, great catch.
So they were working the opposite end zone earlier on the drive, and same result as Ryan Pender now will come out to tack on the extra point and restore a 2-touchdown lead for the Sailors. And a flag will come in. And it's going to be a false start, so Pender is going to have to back himself up a bit. A little lengthier extra point.
Strangely enough, I don't think I've ever seen that. I think it was on Ryan, that procedure call. I don't think I've ever seen procedure on the kicker.
Well, got a little too excited.
Yes.
Right at the end of the first half here. Though, with the way his leg operates, maybe he's just trying to challenge himself.
He may be. These kickers are quirky, though. I'll tell you, every one of them.
So from 5 yards back, it's not going to make any difference, as it is right through for a 21-7 Oceanside lead. And the Sailors quieting the home crowd here in Massapequa, New York, as we take another look at the last touchdown.
Look at this, and you know what? It made it so tough. They've been throwing those short hitches the entire drive, and then they turned that one into a hitch and go. Not easy to run into a short end zone.
He gave him just enough cushion in the back of that end zone, to your point, Kevin, so that he didn't have to worry about tiptoeing and possibly going out of play.
You know, I mentioned the Mustangs before, the youth program, historic youth program here in Massapequa, and I would say all these kids played for the Mustangs. Oceanside also has their own youth program, and that's the Stallions. And I got to hand it to the dads that run those programs. It's not easy. You get a lot of complaints. It's a thankless job, but thank goodness that we have people out there that are willing to volunteer their time for the kids and run those programs. Great job.
And help develop these players that ultimately work their way up to the varsity level.
And it's no mystery. To your point, Lance, it's no mystery we're watching such a well-played football game tonight by these two teams. They've been doing it since they were 7.
And it speaks volumes about the caliber of the JV programs for both of these teams to be able to call up talent when they lose players to graduation. As Pender kicking off after coming through with the extra point, and that is out of the reach of De La Rosa. Of La Rosa, excuse me. So as a result, it'll be a touchback. And they'll have an opportunity here, Massapequa, right at the tail end of the first half. Kevin, if you're Kevin Chippos, what's your approach here in terms of what you're at least trying to do?
Oh, try to score. Try to get on the board. You know, there's 2 reasons for it. One, what do you got to lose? There's 33.9 seconds left. Massapequa is playing good defense, and they're not playing bad defense. You're going to get the ball back again. Why not? I think the other thing, too, that we have to remember is it's still halfway through the season. There's a lot of football to play. No matter how this game goes, challenge yourself and get better.
And movement before the snap. We have seen some of these pre-snap penalties plague both of the teams, and that's going to back up Massapequa 5 yards.
And you know, Lance, sometimes you hear people talk about, we got a discipline issue here. There's no, it's these boys are plenty disciplined. Right now, they're fired up. They're pumped up. They're fired up. They've got a lot of energy. They got to settle down and breathe, and that's what halftime is going to be about, I think, for both teams.
Gargiulo surveying the field. He's going to take off himself, and he's got some room here as he runs out of play, crossing the 30-yard line. A really nice job by him to create something out of nothing.
Yep, great play right here. Starts on his soft sprint out. Doesn't like what he's got. Change direction, goes right back to those lacrosse athletic skills that he possesses. Well done. And we've got a lot of time. And I don't know how many timeouts does Massapequa have? 3 or 2? We can get a lot done here.
Gargiulo is going to throw towards the sideline, and Villalta is able to haul it in. Now, Villalta doing a nice job coming back towards his quarterback to help convert on this play.
I'll tell you, Massapequa was doing everything they can to stop this pass rush. Oceanside defensive line is on fire right now, and they are doubling and hinging and doing everything possible to give Luke a little bit of time to throw this ball.
Well, on the previous play when Gargiulo ran out of bounds, you saw Joe Brooks, one of their other running backs, come in on pass protection to help buy him time to run towards the opposite sideline.
Yeah, big collapse right there on the left side of the Massapequa left side of their offensive line. There's not a lot you can do about that tonight. You just got to be sharp and make plays.
So the ball on the 42-yard line for Massapequa, trying to get into Oceanside territory with under 20 seconds to go. They will get the ball to start the third quarter because they won the toss and elected to defer, so it could be a double dip opportunity. And Gargiulo is going to go deep down the field, and that is hauled in. Another spectacular play by Villalta. And they are in opposing territory with 9 seconds to go.
This Conference 1 football's killing me. It's like watching the Yankees. Look at this. Look at this great play. Using his height, and he gets out of bounds. So critical. They don't have to use another timeout. Really, really great play right there.
As that was Carentz who was defending on the play. And Carentz is 6 feet tall, but Villalta's got 3 inches on him.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do when he gets body position on you like that, a big, tall kid like Cole.
So Massapequa now all of a sudden within striking distance for a scoring opportunity. They had taken over with 33 seconds to go, and thanks to the passing game and Gargiulo's legs, just like that, they're operating in Oceanside territory.
And I got friends at home right now listening to this broadcast yelling at me and making fun of me for talking about all these field goals. So maybe I should keep talking about it because that means Massapequa is going to end in the end zone.
You could just refer to it as the broadcaster's jinx, meaning
Yes.
Anything you say, the opposite winds up taking place, Kevin. Join the crew. I welcome you to the party here.
Unfortunately, some of that happened while I was coaching as well,
Well, now you could just simply enjoy it as a spectator as Gargiulo, he's looking over the middle, and it is incomplete. And Barnes is arguing that his teammate made the catch. As you're going to see Gargiulo right over the middle. Gavin Farley, but they're going to say Farley could not hold on to it, and 88 is Barnes, who is just besides himself.
Well, I tell you, let's see it again. Let's look at this again. Is it a touchdown the moment he crosses that goal line? Did it matter that in high school football that he went down to the ground? He's got possession, crosses the goal line, and it comes loose.
See, the question is, Kevin, we're seeing it from the backside.
Yes.
I'd love to see the front side in terms of, was the ball knocked out after the play as opposed to he lost control of it?
And
those are two different things.
Absolutely, Lance. And we definitely have to give that field official, that's the deepest man on the field, the credit of the credit of the doubt right there, because he's looking right at it. He knows what he sees.
And Farley, it looked like, had his jersey grabbed by Luke Miller from behind and still was able to make a play on the ball.
What an effort. What an effort by those boys.
So still another opportunity for them to take a shot here with 3.8 seconds. As Gargiulo targeting Gavin Farley, the senior wide receiver, first-year starter who really has elevated his game. Kevin Schippo's talking about that his route running is so much crisper, and as a result, that's put him in a position to make plays like that. As we saw, it was a perfectly thrown ball right over the middle, led him right into the end zone.
Perfectly thrown ball, and that pattern's called a skinny post, and the skinny post is tough to defend, but it's equally as difficult to run. And what a great pattern that Mr. Burns ran right there.
So Barnes and Farley are to the left as Gargiulo is going to try to extend a play here. And he's going to take a shot towards the end zone. And it's a touchdown to Villalta right at the final buzzer of the first half. And that is Massapequa working its magic to perfection.
What a play, and what a way to end this half of football. Look at this. Look at this play. And Luke, excellent job of moving his feet. There he is. He gets out to the edge. Watch him reset and zip it out there. What an outstanding job. Oh, Oceanside very, very upset about themselves. You know, Cole is somebody that they needed to stop, and they knew that all day long. And he is wide open. What a score.
There was no one in the vicinity as he was able to take the proper angle and get into the end zone, as Massapequa is going to have to still kick the extra point here before we head to the break, as they officially are going to try to make this a one-touchdown deficit, as it's 21-13 right now.
This is something, watch this old school football setup. This actually comes, Lance, I learned this from Mr. Howie Votes, told me that this is, Beth Page did this for years. This comes from 8-man football playbooks. 8-man football is high schools in upstate New York that just don't have enough kids to play 11 on 11. My instincts tell me, though, they'll come back in and kick a traditional field goal. Extra point.
As right now, they have a different alignment, but you still see Chris Bissett out there with Joe Brooks, and now everybody is going to adjust, and it'll be a conventional extra point attempt. Not lacking drama here at the end of the first half. And it is going to be a one-score affair heading into halftime with Oceanside in front, 21-14, and Massapequa getting the ball to start the third. As we take another look, Gargiulo using his legs, which scored him a touchdown earlier in the game, and Villalta all alone with Oceanside trailing on his route into the end zone. And they are all smiles here in Massapequa with their team within a score, as we'll step aside at the break. 21-14, Oceanside in front, as you are watching Nassau County football on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
What's up, this is Sean Lights Out Merriman, former Charger and Bill, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athletes' key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media. Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job in exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media has been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships. For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
Merrill, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media SPORTSCAST today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media.
You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athletes' key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media. Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media has been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships. For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves. Now is
back here at the half in Massapequa. It is Oceanside leading the Chiefs 21-14. Lance Meadow, Kevin Dolan with you. So glad you could join us and spend your Friday night with us here on the Varsity Media Sports Network as Massapequa had 33 seconds, Kevin, left on the clock in the second quarter. You had a touchdown again for Oceanside. They were 3 for 3 in terms of their scoring drives in the first half, and they worked their magic somehow, and Gargiulo hit Villalta, and they're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. You talk about game-changing plays. That's something to keep in mind because that could very well dictate what we see here right out of the gates.
There were plenty of mistakes and plenty of plays that Massapequa would like back from that first half, but they're not 3-0 by accident. These kids are really well-trained and well-practiced operators, and This is going to be some half of football, Lance. I've already decided in my head, no more talk about field goals. I'm just going to let this go.
Well, even if they heard you from afar, I don't think they're considering it based on the pace and where this game is going, because it's been all about touchdowns. You've got 5 total between both teams. We've seen the rushing attack of Oceanside early on. Then we saw Gargiulo take over with a massive run up the gut and then showcasing his arm strength with the extension of the play to hit Villota. But it's really been a mix of personnel, and it's been also what we've seen, the battle in the trenches, which is what we expected, right, off the top of this broadcast. But that could very well be a difference maker. Who can slow down the rushing attack, and who can maybe make one of these offenses not as dynamic and not as balanced?
And what's interesting about the trenches, that battle is going back and forth incredibly every series. 1 minute it's Massapequa who's dominating the line of scrimmage, and then the next thing you know, Oceanside is all over the Massapequa backfield. Very, very interesting battle that they got going on here.
It was a 14-0 lead for Oceanside before Massapequa scored with Gargiulo's rushing touchdown, and since then they have exchanged blows. But there's a Massapequa team that could very well have a huge turning point in front of them, as they're going to get the opening kickoff to the third quarter because they won the toss and elected to defer, and then they scored on the very last possession of the second quarter. So that is an opportunity for a double dip. This is a Massapequa squad that has been so good on offense over the first 3 games, Kevin, that you had referenced. They scored 58 against Freeport, 49 against Westbury, 41 against Hempstead. But this is by far the biggest challenge that their defense has been exposed to thus far.
Those teams are great, a great bunch of kids, and they're well coached, but they don't rise to the caliber of Oceanside. At the same time, scoring touchdowns and being consistent on a football field doesn't come by accident. You've got to be good players. You got to know what you're doing, and Massapequa is showing that right now. On the other side, oh boy, those Oceanside guys, they know how to pull it out, and they have been pulling themselves out of the fire all night long, turning the chains, making those big plays that they have to. I would not be surprised at 2 things that we see this half, Lance. 1, Oceanside and Massapequa are going to be much more stingy with their timeouts. They cannot afford to waste timeouts in the third quarter. 2, we might start to see some funky things on special teams. Maybe a fake punt here or there, maybe an onside kick out of the blue. That extra possession is going to be critical.
Well, we have not seen a turnover thus far in this game. It was a clean first half, at least from that perspective. There were a few penalties. You mentioned the trickery. I think what was successful for Oceanside, which maybe helped launch their rushing attack, was the pre-snap motion that we saw, especially when they went into that wildcat formation.
Yes, a lot of diversion going on. And as I said, there was a play that really I've never seen before, where Coach Blount, Rob had them fake that jet sweep and give it to the backside back, Chase, on almost like a draw set. And beautiful 8-yard gain.
And that helped ignite what turned out to be one of their 3 touchdowns in the first half, as we are getting ready to start up the third quarter here in Massapequa, New York, with Oceanside getting set to kick off with Ryan Pender. And it will be Massapequa leaning on Jason LaRosa.
Well, this is unusual, Lance. It looks like some sort of a penalty was called on Oceanside.
Yeah, it'll be the 25-yard line that they're going to be kicking off from here.
And that was a big one. That was a 15-yarder. Don't know what happened to cause this.
And we didn't see much activity at the tail end of the second quarter to perhaps justify it, but nonetheless, play resumes. And here is LaRosa, who finds an alley up the middle and is going to cut back to the left side. He's off to the races. Can he take it the distance? And he's pushed out of play inside the 20. And that is just what the doctor ordered for the special teams unit for Massapequa.
Oh, man. You know, I've been talking about Jason's returns. And earlier in the game, trying to find something good to say about Massapequa in some tough situations. This kid knows how to find a seam. Look at him. Now, not only does he change direction, now he hits the gas. And, boy, can Jason run. Beautiful block by number 88, Tyler Burns. That was critical right there off the edge.
We also saw Villalta out in front to try to give him more space, but this is going to be great field positioning here. Now, it looks like there was a flag because they're now backing the football up into Massapequa territory right around midfield. So they're going to have it at the 48-yard line here.
That's the hard thing on special teams when your back is changing so many directions. You get those pushes in the back. Very hard to avoid.
Still good field positioning to start as they bring out here Petalino. He gets the edge and then some, cuts back, and is brought down inside the 35-yard line.
Man, Lance, I think these guys drank a little go-go juice or something at the halftime. Holy cow, this is a whole different speed than what we saw in Massapequa in the first half. Watch these edge blockers. Beautiful block right there by Joe Brooks to free up Andrew right here on that edge play.
And we saw Villalta once again as they keep it with Gargiulo, who gets down to the 30-yard line, as he has been very much involved in their rushing attack tonight.
You know, Massapequa scored on that big pass play, and it was a beautiful play, and they're more than capable of throwing the ball. But this Massapequa team, they're a ground-running team, pounding team, and they're establishing that again right now.
Yeah, they come in averaging 8 yards per carry, but this time they're not going to get enough of a push as Petalino is brought down to set up third down.
Here's that counter play we saw earlier in the game with Giovanni Teresi following it up off the edge, but Oceanside is right there and ready to play. Beautiful tackle by Hudson Triscari.
And also you had Jack Grimaldi there to bring down Petalino, as he'll remain in the backfield. With Massapequa trying to continue this drive, the play action and the ball deflected and incomplete. Trying to get it to Villalta.
Nice idea. You know, it's the opposite of Oceanside. Oceanside has to run the ball to make their pass game work. Massapequa has to throw the ball. It's early in this second half. They need to establish that. They're doing beautiful look.
So Kevin Chippos keeping his offense here out on the field. 4th and 9. And we saw Gargiulo extend the play right at the tail end of the second quarter. And hit a deep pass for a touchdown. They go again, play action, off to the sideline. It is caught. And that is going to move the chains, though Oceanside's arguing it was incomplete, as we're going to see them get it in the direction of Dinello, their tight end. Now, did he scoop it up? That's the question. Hard to tell from that angle from behind.
One of the lessons I've learned in high school football, it's a catch now. And we move the chains.
As Oceanside was arguing passionately that the ball hit the turf, but Dinello did a strong enough job to make sure that he sold it and secured it with a slide, as that was just his second reception of the season. So they're now knocking on the door of the red zone, as Massapequa is actually going, it was ruled incomplete, as we now flip the script back to Oceanside. So Oceanside was right in terms of their argument as they're going to kick it out to Carentz. And Carentz is tackled as you had the secondary from Massapequa in the mix with Ippolito.
Beautiful job by Michael Ippolito, getting himself up the field. Once again, I can't overstate this, the difficulty to make open field tackles. It's such a difficult skill, and that is a wonderful job by Michael.
So that was a loss of a yard. Oceanside gets the defensive stop and now trying to capitalize to restore perhaps a 2-score lead. And again, a lot of pre-snap motion, and that all of a sudden gets Morris out free up the right sideline, which is what we saw earlier in the first half. Now there is a flag on the play. And this is going to bring this back. It's a hold.
Boy, that's a killer, that call. That's a killer, that call. I'm sure it was a good call. That's not my point. It just really is a drive stopper. 10 yards is tough to make up.
Well, especially since he got out in front of the traffic. That wasn't just the first down. That put them almost near midfield as a result of that run. So this is a big flip of the field. As now Oceanside is backed up.
Holding is a spot foul, so it goes from right where the offense occurred. And up until last year, if you held 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, your next play was 2nd and 24. I'm glad they got rid of that marking. Well, I'm an offensive guy anyway, but.
So it's going to be 2nd and 17. And they're going to hand it off yet again as they'll gain some of the yardage back with Morris, who is able to return to the initial line of scrimmage.
They got something going on that play. That spot right there, they hustle off that right side, running behind. Right over here, we got Andrew Gerdehy and Benny Tchaikovsky, and they've got something really going on over there that they like.
And Harmon does a nice job selling on the handoff where it looks like maybe he would consider taking off. So 3rd and 7 from 2nd and 17. It was a pickup of 10. And this time they'll go left side with Morris. He's looking for a cutback lane, and he's not going to find it as Alex Van Skyler able to bottle him up from behind.
Beautiful tackle, but if you notice this, folks, you see Dylan Milio come flying up off the edge, all right, and really put a stop on that play and force him inside. Great job on the perimeter by Massapequa.
So the special teams unit will come in, and they'll try to flip the field. They were perfect 3 for 3 in the first half. They scored touchdowns on all 3 of their possessions, so this is the first time that we're seeing Oceanside punt tonight.
Whoa.
And that was dangerous as Pender's able to get it off. And it is going to take an Oceanside bounce inside the 30-yard line. So it'll be the 28 where Massapequa will start its second possession after they turned it over on downs after an incomplete pass to Dinello when he tried to scoop it up near the sideline. So no harm, no foul. Massapequa's defense answered the call, and they keep it a one-possession game, and now all of a sudden the pressure falls back on the Chiefs' offense.
That play by Ryan Pender, grabbing that high snap, that could have been a game, however this ends, that could have been a game-saving play. That would have been huge at that moment.
Well, and Kevin, you brought up right at the start of the second half about special teams as an area to watch that could very well decide this game. We had the big return by La Rosa, but that was brought back because of a penalty. So all of these things are starting to add up. With Gargiulo trying to mount the rally as they hand it off to Joe Brooks. And Brooks swarmed by defenders up front by Oceanside after a short game.
Boy, we've got some battle going on here on the offensive line. And you see Benjamin Cipolla right there really stuffing up that offensive line and putting a squeeze on Joe.
And Jack Grimaldi was there as well. On 2nd and 7, they go to the ground again, and great push up front by Oceanside, gang tackling Massapequa's ball carrier for essentially no gain. That was Joe Brooks.
Boy, you know, you said it best. The gang tackle, he got swallowed up by a lot of humanity right there.
So neither team finding much room to operate with their rushing attack. And now in a passing scenario, Gargiulo, who has been able to get Massapequa out of some dangerous downs and distances, looks to scan the field, and he's going to step up into the middle of the field, somehow drops it in to Joe Brooks, who went sky high to act as a receiver after trying to do some heavy lifting as a running back.
We've gone from 6'4" to 5'10" here on his target, and Luke finds that right on the spot, and what an effort. What an absolute great effort by Joe Brooks.
Brooks had 3 receptions coming in. The 4th of the season may have been the biggest. And it's a fresh set of downs in Oceanside territory with under 5.5 to go here in the 3rd. Gargiulo will keep it off the left side and opening. And he is undercut just shy of the first down. But again, Massapequa threatening.
Boy, Massapequa shifts into this empty set and runs quarterback counter. And look at that. They're being led by big number 58, Lucas Benucci, right up the hole. Beautiful play.
Luke Miller put the hit on Gargiulo to prevent him from getting the first down. And now it looks like there may have been a flag on the play because they're backing the ball up towards the edge of the start of Oceanside territory.
We're not getting, it's interesting, we're not getting a lot of signals from the field as to what's going on here, but we are getting a lot of yards marched off. The officials have done a really good job tonight, you know, and the last thing they want to do is get involved in a big game like this in terms of penalties.
So Gargiulo's going to keep it again up the left side. He'll get back to the initial line of scrimmage to try to eat into the distance that they have to overcome.
That was a very important play right there. Gain back some of that. This is, again, puts them in manageable situations. This is that play earlier. There must have been a hold or called somewhere inside there.
And you can see that flag came in behind Gargiulo, but then again, no exact signal as to what it was, but you put 2 and 2 together, as you mentioned, Kevin, and hard to believe that it was not a hold. So Massapequa putting Brooks in motion. They set up the screen off the left side, and Pedalino, he's got space. He's got one man to beat, and he's down inside the 10-yard line as Massapequa gains back all that yardage and then some.
Talk about sneaky. Watch Joe Brooks on this little fakearoo down here at the bottom. That's the earlier counterplay. Great football play by Massapequa right there. But you had... No problem. Beautiful job. Joe Brooks was waving his hands trying to get everybody's attention. Really wonderful job.
So we talked about the two-headed monster in the backfield for Oceanside. Now it's Massapequa with Pedalino and Brooks. As they try to punch it in. Gargiulo looking for the edge. He surges forward, and they're going to say he stepped out of play. So it will not be a touchdown, as they're going to be inside the 10-yard line. He had the edge, but he couldn't keep both feet in.
Oh, and we get another flag here, I think. We got a flag down there? I think we do. And this is where things, they got to avoid this stuff.
And there is a flag down right around the 5-yard line.
This smells of chippiness right here. Come on, guys. It's too big of a game. Beautiful double team. Block right there. Boy, you take for granted how big Luke really is. He's just a physically big young man.
Listed at 6 feet tall.
It looks like we had a personal foul, some sort of unsportsmanlike down there. It was after the whistle.
So that's going to move the ball to the 2-yard line as a result of the personal foul. So they're closing in on perhaps their third touchdown, and they give it to Petalino, and Petalino is tripped up just shy of the goal line. As you're going to see.
Great block by Jack Mulligan, but whoa, what a fill by, who is that, old number 20?
That's Chase Morris.
Oh, Chase Morris, who is that? Wow.
Again, running back against running back. So here we go on third down, and they're still trying to push it through, and it looks like it's going to be short. Petalino did not get in, inches away from the goal line. So a huge fourth down coming up here at the 1-yard line. And this
is a biggie, to say the least. The longest 6 inches you've ever seen here.
Oceanside got a turnover on downs on the first possession for Massapequa in the second half. And there's a push at the line, no signal yet, and finally we get it. It's a touchdown for Massapequa, as they're an extra point away from tying this game. The rushing attack answering the call yet again. As you see, they give the ball to their fullback, Anthony Danello, and he tells everybody else to get out of the way because he is in for a score.
What a great drive, Lance. What a great drive. And, it was full of everything. Big plays, the little things, a couple of penalties mixed in.
So Becerra on to kick the extra point, and it is through. We are knotted at 21 here in the third quarter as Massapequa overcomes a few penalties and is able to punch it in for the third time tonight. Here is their latest score.
And what a great decision by Massapequa. As much as they wanted to get Petalino in the end zone, he got him down there. Anthony brought a little bit more weight to that situation.
Danello, 6 feet tall, 195, compared to Petalino, who's 5'8", $165. So a little bit more meat and potatoes to work with.
And of all the people out there, listening to our Massapequa coaches, of all the people out there on that field that agrees with that decision, it's Andrew Petalino. He's only thinking about his team.
Well, and Danello does a lot of the blocking for Petalino as an extension of the offensive line. So he finally gets rewarded. Danello, also a two-sport athlete. He plays baseball, and he's going to take his talents on the diamond to SUNY Oswego. But right now, he's making a name for himself on the gridiron. As Massapequa will kick off. And now Oceanside looking to reclaim an advantage as their 2-touchdown lead is dissipated. Jacob Stern and Nick Carentz back to receive it. And it's going to be a short kick, and it's going to be swallowed up by Dylan Parker, who goes down immediately. So it'll be the 34-yard line where they'll start this drive. And we're going to see Oceanside's offense, which on their last possession was forced to punt. And if it wasn't for Ryan Pender, who adjusted to a high snap, it could have been an absolute nightmare.
Well, I would not be surprised to see Oceanside stick with that run game of theirs a little bit.
Karentz is in as the Wildcat quarterback, and he'll maneuver through a few defenders for a short gain as he was trying to lead his blockers up the right side.
Great job here by this offensive line.
As you see, 4 seniors and a junior make up that unit.
And you know what? You can never underestimate that senior leadership. You know, the offensive line is one of those units on a football field that has to operate as a group. And seniors bring that camaraderie to that group.
So on second down, it's going to be Karentz who gets out into open space, and it's a foot race towards the end zone as he leaves Massapequa behind in the dust. Karentz with his 3rd touchdown of the day and the first one on the ground, and that is what you call flipping the script with an explosive play.
Look at this counterplay. Big blocks by those linemen. All those guys over there on the right side come across really, really well done, and it's a foot race to the end zone. Again, Andrew Geideher, Benny Jakovsky, outstanding job of leading that home.
Karentz is their lethal weapon. He does it all. He runs, he can throw, and he could catch. And it's all been on full display this evening as the extra point is blocked. So that will keep it just a 6-point deficit for Massapequa as their special teams unit is able to respond after giving up that big touchdown.
That's a moment that wakes you up at night as a coach. Oh boy, that was a that could be a huge play as we get closer to the 4th quarter tonight.
So store that away with 1:46 to go here in the third, and penetration up the middle. Looked like maybe Van Skyler got a piece of that.
Big 55 right there. Gives you the double biceps look after he gets through. Something tells me those webbed fingers of his got on that ball. There he is, and that's who it is.
He stepped right through.
Woo.
It was almost like Velcro detaching, and then he just found his way up the middle.
Outstanding job.
But what a night, Kevin, for Nick Karentz.
Yeah.
With 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving, and when they use him in that Wildcat formation, it's caught Massapequa off guard at times.
You know, one of the things when I was covering the game a few weeks ago that Coach Blount talked about Karentz is that he's that Swiss Army knife that just gets all those little different jobs done for them.
And La Rosa is not going to have an opportunity to return this one as it will sail into the end zone for a touchback. This contest has lived up to every expectation. Massapequa 3-0, Oceanside 2-1, both teams averaging around 50 points per game. And we have seen one explosive play after another. Gargiulo with the big run for the Chiefs, and then Karentz for the Sailors. As we look at the last 4 seasons for the home team, 24-23, winning the Long Island title, and then in 2023 they lost in the conference final, and then 2021 back to the result of 23 and 24. So 3 of the last 4 years they have finished the job. And you look at the records, always in double digits in terms of victories. They had a 12-0 season mixed in. But Oceanside has been on the wrong end of these impressive runs by Massapequa. And right now it's the road team with a 6-point lead here late in the third quarter. And the one thing that has stood out, Kevin, about the Sailors, they had a 2-touchdown lead. They watched that completely evaporate, and then they come back with that drive to reclaim the lead.
Neither one of these teams has any quit in their DNA at all. And I mean, the kids, the coaches, the fans, they're all expecting to win this game tonight. They're willing it to happen. I think we're going to see another bunch of touchdowns before this night is over.
So Massapequa now looking to issue the response. Gargiulo is going to fake the handoff, and he is off to the races yet again as he is across the 35-yard line where he bit out to the right side after it opened up on the fake handoff here to Petalino.
What a tremendous fake right there. I had my eyes, I had my eyes sitting on Andrew Polino. Great job by Luke.
Again, Luke up the right side, and he is taking on contact with authority as he was trying to get to midfield, and they're going to mark him at the 45.
This is where we can't get caught up with the flags. Keep playing football. Keep your hands inside. Keep your mouth closed. Guys, just play football. There's too much at stake right now.
Easier said than done under the circumstances of this one, but it was a 9-yard run there. So it's been Gargiulo the runner thus far on this drive. Now he's going to look to throw. Deep down the middle of the field and just out of the reach of Villalta.
Love that short yardage call. Take that chance. I mean, it would have been very easy for them just to push that 1 yard and get those chains to move. I love that call right there.
Carentz was in coverage on the play.
Is that Swiss Army knife coming up again?
Well, especially since here on 3rd and 1, you still have the opportunity to run the ball, which is why I'm with you, Kevin. It makes sense to take a shot, given the geography of where you are on the field and the down and distance.
And they had something going on down there. Carentz just made a great stretch to interfere with that play.
And on 3rd and 1, they'll give it to Petalino, and he is going to find a way to move the chains and enter Oceanside territory as he collided with Carentz.
Whoa, look at that block by Jack Mulligan. Gets a great fit in on that tight end, on that defensive end, excuse me. Gives him just enough room to get some distance.
There's Petalino and Carentz doing a little chatting after they got up close and personal. The delayed handoff fake as Gargiulo keeps it, and he's going to get inside the 35-yard line, and he really held on to that one for a while.
Boy, this Massapequa offense is an interesting group. You can feel the energy and the momentum build, you know, as they roll one chunk play after the next.
And they're taking a big bite out of the pie on this drive, whether it's Gargiulo or Petalino. And they get somebody to jump. Nick Greco, the defensive tackle, got a little antsy there. So that'll be a free first down.
Big play going into the half. First down. In some ways, I don't know if these guys even know how to do it. They got one speed, Massapequa. Maybe slow this down a little bit. Use the clock a little bit more. Blocking that extra point was huge.
As they would have an opportunity to take the lead if they could score a touchdown and then execute on the extra point in the final minute here of the third quarter. They give it back to Petalino, and he finds the edge, but is brought down from behind to prevent it from being a huge breakthrough run.
Massapequa thinks they found something over there, and I think they're right, over there on the right side with Tristan Turasi and Lucas Benucci getting these big blocks along with big old number 47, Anthony Danello. They're finding some running room over there.
Hudson Triscari was the one that brought down Petalino from behind. He literally had to grab his jersey to gain some grasp. So it was just a pickup of 2. And on 2nd and 8, Gargiulo is going to keep it with Petalino the lead blocker. And again, little by little, they're using the run game to move deeper into Oceanside territory.
And I love the patience they're showing here. Like I said, there's 2 pancake blocks in there. They found something over here on the right side. The hard part is that they're running into the boundary. So you do run out of space, but they're patient. 3rd and 1. Great situation.
So you get a 2-yard run from Petalino, then Gargiulo comes back. And he is able to make this an extremely manageable 3rd down. With a pickup of 7 on that last run.
I was just thinking about that timeout. And you know what? As much as we know the value of the timeouts, this series meets that value. They need to score on this series. They put too much into it right now. You don't like what you're looking at, call timeout and get their heads right.
So the Chiefs are going to talk things over, and while that happens, here's a look at their upcoming schedule. They will be at Port Washington next week, and you can see that game right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network, as well as their following 2 games against Farmingdale and Syosset, as we then enter the first day of November for an afternoon affair.
Boy, that reminds me of an old Catholic school schedule. That's a tough schedule. That's a lot of grinders, one after the other. You know, and that's the hard thing in Conference 1. You win this game. Let's just say for a moment, for argument's sake, they win this game. It beats you up. It beats you up, and then you got to reload for the next week.
Let's take a look at Oceanside's upcoming schedule. They'll play Syosset next week. Then Plainview, JFK, followed by Freeport, and then a trip to Hempstead to open up November.
And a little bit of a flip of what Massapequa is doing. But, you know, Oceanside has to remember that those teams are getting better every week. Can't let the guard down.
As Oceanside already played Farmingdale in a shootout, Massapequa still has them on the horizon. That's why this game could very well decide the 2 seed in the playoffs. Is Gargiulo takes a few defenders for a ride and is able to move the chains and convert on 3rd and 1 with the final 30 seconds ticking away here in the 3rd quarter.
This Gargiulo is one tough kid, man. He really does run the ball. You know, it helps a lot when you have Nolan Wieserak coming around the edge and leading you up the lane. But what a timely play by Nolan.
Just put his head down and followed the blockers.
Yeah, storming the castle.
So that'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter, with Oceanside leading Massapequa 27-21, and the Chiefs threatening to begin the 4th quarter. Don't go anywhere. Quite the showdown in the latest chapter of this rivalry here in Massapequa, New York, on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back here in Massapequa, New York. So glad you could join us. Friday night football in Nassau County is Oceanside leading Massapequa 27-21 as the Chiefs are threatening thanks to Gargiulo, their quarterback, utilizing his legs, as well as Pedalino. He just converted on a quarterback keeper on a 3rd and 1. So they'll have a fresh set of downs, and they are in the red zone at the 17-yard line.
Kind of nice tonight, Lance. Me, you, Becca, we got our sweatshirts on. We've got some real Friday night football with a little bit of chill in the air. And what a great game.
That autumn flavor in the air here as we get down the stretch of this one. Pedalino off the left side. He's got an opening. He's going to dive towards the end zone and brought down just shy of the goal line at the 1.
I can hear Coach Shippos now. Why can't we just score and not turn this into a drama? You know, but Massapequa guys are bound and determined to turn his hair gray.
That was Jacob DiDio with the
a
touchdown-saving tackle.
What a great tackle by Jacob right there.
But it did give them a first down. They'll give it back to Pedalino. He's going to charge up the middle. No signal yet. And they're going to say that he is still short. So it'll be 2nd and goal.
Oceanside very, very tough down here at the goal line. Look at how tight they keep this, fighting through those blocks. There's number 58.
That's Jack Grimaldi.
Jack Grimaldi. What a play by Jack. Tough guy.
He's been all over the place. So here on 2nd and goal, they'll give it to Pedalino again. And this time, he is in for a Massapequa touchdown. And Pedalino is setting up the Chiefs to take their first lead of the night with the extra point pending.
Well, here we are back on the special teams conversation. And, you know, from snapper to holder to kicker, this is absolutely critical. Biggest play of the game right now.
So that was Pedalino's 6th rushing score of the year. And now Chris Becerra for the most important extra point up to this spot. It's a high snap, but they get it down, and it is through. Massapequa with its first lead of the evening, 28-27, thanks to this young man who was able to gallop into the end zone.
What an effort by the Chiefs. You know, hey, it was only an hour ago where it looked like it was going to be a windy night in Massapequa as Oceanside was coming out on fire. They've reestablished themselves, but I'll tell you one thing I know for sure, the Sailors are not going away. They will respond.
Well, we saw Carens get that big rushing touchdown the last time Massapequa was able to tie this game up at 21. So they have done a nice job absorbing the blows and then, to your point, Kevin, coming back and putting that behind them and not acting as if they once did lead this game by 2 scores and unfortunately watched it disappear.
And, you know, that's Rob Blount. Rob Blount is not only a supportive coach, but he pushes them hard. And between those two things, the Sailors have developed resiliency. And you can see that. You can see that in every game that they play. Extremely resilient.
So Becerra will kick off with Oceanside looking to change field positioning, and Carens is not even going to get a chance. It'll bounce it to the end zone for a touchback. And Massapequa not complaining because they want to keep the ball out of that man's hands.
Oh, yeah. Just Kick that thing to Mars and let's play regular 11-on-11 defense.
But their defense is still going to have to find an answer to slow down number one, as Karentz has 2 receiving touchdowns and a rushing score. The senior, who is a 2-year starter, who is known to be a vertical threat, well, he's been running north all throughout the course of this contest.
Going to be interesting to see how Oceanside comes out. Are they going to now start going to the air a little bit more, or are they going to stick with, there's plenty of time to stick with that run game.
And it's been the Wildcat. Karentz is operating it yet again. He's going to hand off to Parker, and Massapequa plugged the hole immediately. There was nothing for Parker to work with.
And not easy to do to lay off Karentz. You know, you obviously you have to account for Nicholas.
It was actually a loss of a yard on that play. And it's interesting, Kevin, because as a result of them relying a lot on Karentz, we actually have not seen much of Harmon.
No. And, you know, these are the things you go back on as a coach later on. And when you reevaluate this game, win, lose, or draw, some of those decisions that you make. Who should be touching the ball?
And Shane is in there to touch it. He immediately hands it off. And a short gain for Oceanside, as that was Morris on the carry. So that's going to set up 3rd and 8. As the clock approaches 10 minutes. And Harmon is going to stay in as the quarterback yet again. And he has time to step up in the pocket and take one deep, and it's dropped by Karentz right through his fingertips in what would have been another home run blast.
Oh, Nick's done this a million times for them, and I just feel for the young man. He wanted this so bad. Beautiful pass and a great pass pattern of getting himself open. Massapequa dodges a bullet, but you know what? That play may still be there later on down the line. Nicholas is going to get another shot.
He had a step on Ippolito, who was in coverage, and Karentz has had some issues with drops throughout this season, but with the way he's been performing tonight, it seemed like everything was attaching to him.
Yes. What is happening here?
So they're keeping their offense out on the field, and they're going to go for it on 4th and 7, and Harmon is going to connect with Karentz for the first down.
Wow, that is some gutsy call, some gutsy play. Look at this. Plenty of time to throw it, and oh my goodness, a game of inches over there, Lance.
Well, for Karentz, now you put that play behind you, and you don't let that linger as a result of making that grab. And Rob Blount, I think it's fair to say, Kevin, has marbles.
Oh!
As Harmon is going to keep it, and he's going to be shouldered down behind the line of scrimmage.
You know, Lance, honestly, I'm sitting there going, there's plenty of time in this game. There's plenty of timeouts. Play the field position play. But Rob Blount has not come today to be safe. And it's one thing for a coach to make big plays and big calls and chancy things. He's got his team and their belief in him and their belief in themselves right there with him. Oh, this is a costly
So we've got a personal foul.
Unsportsmanlike foul. Oh, that hurts.
Now, we saw Harmon was shouldered down when he was tackled, and I'm wondering if it had something to do after the fact, because it looked like he was brought down awkwardly with the way that the tackle occurred.
Yeah. You know, too, Lance, these are young men, but they are kids. And what's the old saying? Kids, they do the darndest things. And that's how they learn. That's how they learn.
Well, timing is everything, and now you're giving even better field positioning to Oceanside as they're operating right around midfield with momentum in their corner. And it changed quickly. You had the huge drop, and then Carentz making the great catch on 4th and 7 as they went back to him. Here come their running backs, and a nice pickup as they gave the ball to Morris, who slithered through the middle.
You know, you watch this play. It's just what I said about Massapequa on their last drive. You're seeing a little bit of a momentum change, an energy change here. And Oceanside is fired up.
That was Jack Mulligan who brought down Morris. But it was a pickup of 5. And Harmon, he's going to follow his blockers up the left side. And that is going to give them yet another first down. And Harmon came in averaging over 9 yards per carry on the season. And now that his number is called, they're able to display his legs.
Oceanside line, again we talked about this earlier, how the swing at the line of attack, at the line of scrimmage, is changing constantly. Starting to swing back Oceanside's way now. Getting a lot of push behind those big boys.
As we approach 7 minutes here in Massapequa, New York. They give it to Parker. And Parker was able to turn that into positive yardage right before he ran into a brick wall.
What a body tackle by Tristan Teresi right there. That sent a message. But something tells me Mr. Parker's going to be asking for that ball back again.
Terasi was an all-state and all-county player last season. On 2nd and 7, the conventional running backs get the job done yet again with Dylan Parker setting up a manageable 3rd down.
I do like these play calls by Oceanside. Now they are starting to chew away the clock. It's the way they started this game. And, we can't forget, I don't know why I keep saying it, they do have a big leg and a big hip behind Mr. Pednar.
More of a reason why, Kevin, they can take on the patient approach, because if they can really milk this clock, they know they don't have to necessarily win with a touchdown.
Yep.
And it gives them options and flexibility, and you can see they're watching that clock dwindle. Direct snap to Morris, and Morris is going to get down near that 1st down marker. He's going to be short, about a yard shy, so it'll set up about a 4th and 1 here.
Oh, big play right here. Now, you're looking at a 47-yard field goal with the wind. It's not a big wind, but the wind is in their face. I'd say we see the Sailors going for this one. Maybe a hard count with a timeout.
Well, and then especially with the amount of time left,
yeah,
you're still going to then give the ball back to Massapequa even if you kick the field goal. So it would make more sense to try to continue this drive. And they're going to go for it. Morris has the edge. He cuts back. And that should be enough to move the chains. Oceanside feels so. Massapequa's claiming it's not. And they're going to move the chains.
Big play right there. Big play.
And a flag comes in after Massapequa was arguing that it was not enough of a push for the 1st down.
Oh, man.
So this could be a back-breaking penalty if it goes against the Chiefs and moves them up even more.
Oh, they got lucky. They got very lucky there. They need to listen. Watch this play here. It's tight up in there. I think he definitely got it. He got the length that he needed on this.
As you saw, Danilo involved in the tackle. One of their top linebackers. A lot of activity from each sideline. As Dylan Parker is the Wildcat quarterback here. And it'll be a timeout taken by Oceanside with 4:13 to go in the fourth quarter. With them knocking on the door of the red zone, trailing by a point. And a flag is going to come in here while Massapequa and Oceanside are huddling. And as I mentioned, Kevin, there's been a lot of jawing back and forth, as you could see.
I don't know what happened down there, and I can't hear what happened down there. But the officials are doing the best job they can. And they do not have a hankering to get involved in who wins and loses this game. But there are lines that we have to be that we don't cross as coaches and as sideline personnel. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate to see that.
Well, and they're going to move the football now up from the 28-yard line. This ball is inside the 15. So, as a result of that penalty, Massapequa cut Oceanside's distance in half in terms of what it's going to take for them to get into the end zone.
And I think the other part of this is now, if you're Massapequa, you have to start thinking about using your timeouts. You're not going to have them available for you on offense. You got to think about preserving as much time as possible. They're not there yet, but they're getting close.
So here's Morris off the direct snap. He's looking for the edge, and he is brought down just shy of the 5-yard line as Jack Mulligan got him from behind.
Boy, Chase is really taking over this series. This is the third or fourth snap that he's taken tonight. Maybe more than that. I mean, just a tough young man.
So they'll mark him down at the 7-yard line. And you can see the clock is ticking away because Oceanside, if they have to give the ball back to Massapequa, they want it to be limited.
Yeah, if you're Rob Blount, you are in no hurry right now.
So Morris again off the high snap, trying to find an alley, and that is going to get him just inside the 5-yard line. So they need 1 yard to move the chains and reset the downs for a 1st and goal. And that could be advantageous to milk even more clock. And again, Morris is the one directing traffic here in this Wildcat formation. So Harmon is a spectator, their starting quarterback. And now we're going to get a timeout. So the Sailors utilize their second timeout.
Well, right now, we're on a hostile side of the field. Nobody likes what Oceanside is doing over here on our side. But very, very smart football by Coach Blount. He used that entire play clock. Watch that field judge count it off, and he's going to do everything he can to leave Massapequa very little time to respond. But you know what? You look at it this way, Lance. They haven't scored yet. And we've seen some real wild things happen in this game so far.
Well, their lone touchdown in the second half was the Carentz massive run to give them the 27-21 lead. So we have not seen them have to operate in the short yardage situations within the red zone. We've actually seen Massapequa have to do that when they used Dinello and Petalino on a pair of rushing scores in this game. But here is a 3rd and 1, and if they could just push the pile forward, they'll get to reset the downs. So Morris is going to try to do that.
Boy.
He runs right into the pile. This is all about where they spot it.
This is close.
And based on the side judge, that should be enough for a first down, and that is going to be a 1st and goal. You
Boy,
see Morris.
Look how low he brings his pads and gets that penetration into the pile.
And then gets a little tush push from behind. Their version, of course, Oceanside, with Dylan Parker, number 21, trying to assist.
Well, here's Massapequa. They're using their timeouts, trying to preserve a little bit of time on the clock.
So 2:15 to go here in the 4th quarter. And it's going to be at the 3-yard line. They'll have 3 initial opportunities to try to get it in. And then the decision will come on a 4th and goal if we get to that point, whether or not Rob Blount wants to go for the touchdown or you take a field goal opportunity to move in front, as Massapequa has shown a lot of emotion from the sideline on this possession. We've seen a lot of flags come in. That's Kevin Shippos, their head coach, in his 15th season, who has done a spectacular job with this program. It's interesting. He and Rob Blount, when they took over, as Rob Blount's in his 17th season, they were the young guys. They were new, the new kids on the block on the scene.
I'm looking at these numbers. I coached against these guys when they were kids.
Well, we don't want you to date yourself on this broadcast here, Kevin.
Let's just call me old.
1st and goal from the 3. Again to Morris, the push from the left side, and he's brought back in a tug-of-war by Villalta. And that is a heck of an effort by Massapequa's front.
Look at this push at Massapequa. Whoa, what a play. That was a big collision. He didn't finish the tackle, but we see there Anthony Dinello get in there and make that first contact. Very important.
And then you saw number 7, Villalta, grab Morris back and prevent him from getting that second surge, which we saw earlier in the game when he scored on the ground.
And I have a feeling when Rob Blount gets done yelling at the refs here, he is definitely reminding his kids, ball security, because the Chiefs are going to be ripping away at that ball something fierce.
And with so much happening in this game, there actually has not been a turnover. It's been a clean football game. And that, it goes without saying, is always a point of emphasis. But Rob Blount also talked about this week he wanted to see his team collect takeaways. He says they've been close, but they just have not had enough pile up. And they have been without them tonight, and they're right now on the brink of moving back in front of this game. So no gain on that last play. It'll be now 2nd and goal at the 3.
Oceanside wants this touchdown. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're in pretty good field goal situation, but they want this touchdown here.
Well, Chase Morris has 1 touchdown, and he is going to get another as Oceanside pushes through and moves back in front with a 33-28 advantage. It was by bits and pieces, but they finally found a way with their ground attack to punch it through here on the road.
And what a block by Hudson Triscari. Just a great job of getting into that seam and giving Chase just enough room to score. Okay, I think we're going to see a 2-point conversion here.
Absolutely, because of the extra point that was blocked, so you want to get that back. So they'll leave their offense out on the field, and that similar formation with Chase Morris in the center. Oceanside is going to take a timeout so that they can talk things over after seeing the Massapequa alignment.
That penalty would have created a very difficult situation for the Sailors. Excellent timeout call.
So we have seen the Wildcat formation with Chase Morris do a lot of the heavy lifting on this drive. We saw Shane Harmon a little bit earlier, but for the most part, it's been Morris, it's been Parker. You brought up Triscari as a lead blocker, who also serves as a running back. Those three have been very active out of the backfield.
That's what's really exciting about this last drive by Oceanside. It's been all hands on deck, and everybody has had a hand in making this drive a success.
Massapequa has won 8 of the last 10 meetings between these teams, and Oceanside is just itching to finally solve that riddle. And a 2-point conversion would go a long way to help them position themselves in that department. So we see Morris, number 20, operating again, with Triscari to his left and Parker to his right, and Morris is going to be stuffed. And he's going to be brought down by Joe Brooks, a fellow running back. But here he plays safety on defense.
Running back on running back. Look, these two have been in a personal battle the entire night. Absolutely the entire night. Oh, this is going to be some minute and 55 seconds.
The program 2020 has been on full display.
Absolutely.
And we're not talking about you Downs.
Both teams, you got to stay focused on what you're doing here. Don't get involved with officials. Don't get involved with nonsense. Stay focused on what you're doing, and we're going to be treated to a tremendous finish.
Now, Massapequa still has to score a touchdown, even though Oceanside didn't convert on the 2-point conversion. So they still have the entire field to work with, Kevin, from a defensive perspective.
Absolutely. But Massapequa has proven, I don't know how you felt on this, Lance, but to me at least, that they can make these big plays. They've made a number of them all night long. And I just didn't perceive Massapequa being that team. You know, I saw them as that ground and pound control type club that just beats you up physically. They've been a lot more than that tonight.
Gargiulo, he broke through for a big run. Villalta with the touchdown when he was wide open right at the end of the first half. Though here in the second half, it's been more of a grind it out type of approach, but we have seen the explosion, and they're going to perhaps need one more if they want to walk away with a victory and preserve their perfect mark this season.
Now the kicking from the hash, which kind of tells me they're going to try to keep this ball away from Jason LaRosa. I would.
So a bouncer that will give an opportunity here for Pendolino. And Pendolino is pushed out of play, but they kept it away from LaRosa.
Now, they have time to run this ball, depending on what kind of a front Oceanside brings out. So this game's wide open right now in terms of the play calling.
So they will start at the 32-yard line. Gargiulo, we've seen him air it out, but they're 4 touchdowns. 3 of them have come on the ground. Dinello, Pedalino, and Gargiulo. And this is by far the biggest test of the season for the Chiefs because their first 3 games were lopsided victories. You got to a point where Kevin Chippos could go to his bench, develop his depth chart. The starters had not been in a game at this stage at all this year.
No, a lot of new bodies out there, but I'll tell you what, That's the importance of this game for both these teams. They're veterans tonight.
Certainly not uncharted territory when you look at the history recently of this program. Gargiulo, he's going to float it out, and it is going to be incomplete off the fingertips of Burns.
Great look. I like the play call. Not an easy play call either. You know, you got a righty in Luke Gargiulo rolling out to his left, but he is some athlete, this kid.
And Gargiulo, who's replacing Joey D'Esso this season, who won the Don Snyder Award as Nassau County's top quarterback. The transition has been seamless as they dump it off to try to set up a screen to Farley, and a great open field tackle by Benny Jakovsky.
What a play by Benny getting out there on the edge. This is called a bit of, it's a tunnel screen, and what's happening is those linemen are supposed to be fooled and up the field, not Benny.
And a quick release and a catch across midfield for Massapequa, as they didn't waste any time regrouping after that screen did not execute.
Wow, look at this play. Beautiful catch, and way to get yourself out of bounds.
So Gavin Farley they came back to, and this time he's able to move the chains. They give it to Petalino, and Petalino zigzagging in and out of traffic, gets near the 40-yard line in Oceanside territory.
We got movement on the field. We got movement in the bleachers. This is a little bit of an army charging down there to the 20-yard line.
The student body is going all the way down towards the opposite end zone, anticipating perhaps something special.
I'm assuming that flag is the country of Massapequa.
Well, and actually, I thought they were all moving this direction to get a closer look at Kevin Dolan.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
They just wanted to see a true analyst
Yes.
in
Oh,
midseason form.
absolutely.
Gargiulo, with the pocket collapsing, is going to utilize his legs as he reaches out towards the 35-yard line.
Boy, they are really getting every second out of this clock. This has been an excellent 2-minute drive so far. Not easy for high school kids to do.
3rd and 1 here as we approach a minute. And Gargiulo's going to use that big frame, and he is going to get an opening, and he is going to watch the end zone come to life for a go-ahead score. Luke Gargiulo with his 2nd rushing touchdown, and they are on their feet here in Massapequa. Now there is a flag, though, on the field, and it's back near the line of scrimmage, and it is going to be a hold. So the celebration premature.
They got 2 out here.
Seth Brown has taken center stage tonight, and it is going to be a hold. And it's going to go against the Chiefs. Did not look like much, Kevin, on the left side of the line at least.
Looked like a mash. I did see a hold up there at the 2nd level. Up on a linebacker. I did not see that deep hold that you're talking about here. It's still a very favorable chain situation, though, for Massapequa.
So 3rd down all over again with 2 yards to go. And they're going to give it to Gargiulo. He finds the left side, open up for him yet again, and that is going to move the chains.
Boy, what can't this young man do? This guy, he sees a situation, he takes charge of it. His team needs him. Look at that play. Look at that play.
And it was actually Danilo, the tight end, who helped seal off the left side for him.
He's been blocking tonight. And you know what? And you said it earlier, I've not given him enough credit. His blocking tonight has been outstanding.
Gargiulo looking to extend the play. He's going to dump it off to Villota. And that is going to be good enough for yet another first down.
And as we said earlier, Massapequa is benefiting by keeping this clock running a little bit.
So he goes to one of his most experienced targets, the senior wide receiver.
It's not the prettiest passer you ever saw, but he gets the job done. That's the story of this kid's game tonight. He gets the job done.
Now they're going to hand it off to Pedalino.
Oh, my
Pedalino
goodness.
is still jockeying for position, and he is down inside the 5-yard line.
Joe Brooks blocks like a brick truck. Watch number 20 right here as he leads on this jet sweep. Look at Joe Brooks. Come on, there it is. So they see the end of that pancake block. Big Joe.
And yet again,
at 5'8", 165. Wow.
But it was Didio who came in to save a touchdown, and we saw that earlier in the game as well.
Now we've got an identical situation at the other end of the field.
Gargiulo's going to give it to Danilo, and the fullback tight end leads the way himself into the end zone for the go-ahead score. And it doesn't look like there's any flags this time to hold up that touchdown.
Wow.
So Anthony Danilo with his second rushing score. As we see, he kicked out to the left side, and it was wide open for him.
And you got to love some of these Massapequa perimeter blockers. They got their hands up in the air like this is a holdup at a 7-11. They want to make sure that nobody's calling any holding. Okay, another big play. Another big play. You know, Oceanside is one big play away from setting that Ryan Pednar loose.
And a play action leads to a strike to Villota for the 2-point conversion, and now they protect themselves with the field goal up by 3, 36-33.
Really beautiful play right there on that 2-point conversion. Boy, Luke, as I said before, it's not the prettiest pass, but he's got such great touch. No, he doesn't put too much on that ball, just drops it right in the basket.
So Villota's got a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And with 40.2 seconds to go, now it falls back on the shoulders of Oceanside. And they've got the leg where they don't necessarily have to get deep into the opposing territory because, as we mentioned, Pender's got a range of in that low 50 area where they could bring him out.
And there's a lot of scenarios on this kickoff. You know, you can't kick this short. You can't squib it. It's going to bring them too close to a long field goal. So you've got to drill it. And then you got to tackle this kid. There's a lot of scenarios that are playing out. I'm thinking of all the nightmares of my career are all coming to me in one full swoop right
Having
now.
flashbacks.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We've got this in the bag, Kevin.
How many times have you heard that?
God, oh, no. Oh, no.
Until the other team had other plans.
Yes.
So Becerra will kick off. And it is going to be Stern and Carentz itching to return it if they get an opportunity. And it is going to be kicked into the back of the end zone for a touchback.
Personally, that's what they needed. That was a big play right there. They needed that. Did not want to give Oceanside an extra play. I wish I knew how many timeouts Oceanside had. I know they have it. I know they don't have 3. They may have 2 or 1.
I want to say they have 1 left because I believe 2 were utilized on the previous drive.
Yes.
Especially one when they were in the red zone when they were avoiding a penalty and they wanted to stop the clock.
Big part of what we've got going on right now.
So you've got Harmon in, and he's going to dump it off. A quick pass there to Stern, who scampers out of play and crosses the 35-yard line.
That was big chunk play for Oceanside right there. That was a huge chunk play right there.
So they mark it at the 34 for a fresh set of downs here with 34.2 seconds to go. And Harmon again, another quick release, this time to Carentz, who wisely gets out of play inside the 40-yard line.
Very, very smart offensive football right here.
So we're seeing these quick, spontaneous passes. They don't need the home run. They just need to chip away to get into field goal range.
At the same time, Massapequa does not want to get over-aggressive here.
And again to Carentz, as that is good enough for a first down, as now they're knocking on the door of midfield.
You know, you talk about past memories coming back. I think Massapequa is thinking about that little stop and go that they ran down in the end zone before the half. They don't want to get fooled on that here.
Ryan Pender is a 2-time All-State kicker for Oceanside, and it may get into his leg to determine whether we'll have an extra session. Harmon, he's going to take off. Try to extend it here, but he's going to race then out of play.
It's tough that he had to sit on only getting 2 yards on the play, but very smart getting out of bounds. Very smart.
Because he would have eaten up so much time if he ran up the middle.
This would have been the last play.
So that's a good decision by the senior quarterback, who's been on varsity since his freshman year. He started as a sophomore for the first half of the season before he was injured, and then didn't start at the beginning stages of his junior year, but reclaimed the job. It's been quite the journey, and he could add something to his resume here if he can navigate this traffic. Again towards the sideline, and is it intercepted? Yes, it is! Joe Brooks, who's been all over the place with the exclamation point. And they will not be able to bring Ryan Pender out because the safety for Massapequa puts his foot down with a game-sealing interception and a toe tap out at the sideline.
What a play by Mr. Brooks. He's Mr. Brooks to me right now. Wow. Wow. And you know what? I mean, pandemonium's going to break out a little bit over here in the country of Massapequa. But just before that happens, what a great game played by both teams tonight. They should, I know it's hard for Oceanside right now, but they should be proud of themselves.
Well, it came down to the very end, Kevin, which is what we were anticipating. And the cleanest game, or at least what appeared to be, is decided on the lone takeaway, with Harmon being picked off by Joe Brooks for his first interception of the season. And the heartbreak theme, unfortunately, just continues for Oceanside. They've been oh so close against Massapequa, but have just not been able to get over the hump. They've now lost 9 of the last 11 to the Chiefs.
And you look at this emotional game and this handshake, what a show of class by both programs. What a play.
As we see both of these teams exchanging handshakes following quite the war and quite the battle royale. It was a back-and-forth affair with explosive plays galore. Carentz, Gargiulo, Carentz again, and then we also had Villada and Carentz as they kept exchanging blows. That was the 2-point conversion that solidified the 3-point lead, and it turned out to be the game winner with a 36-33 final score here in Massapequa, New York, as the Chiefs are going to improve to 4-0 on the season, as that is going to wrap up our coverage here in Massapequa, New York. Quite a showdown here in Nassau County. Our executive producer, Ben Turchin, technical director, Becca Kazaks. Want to thank our entire crew, you the viewers. For Kevin Dolan, I'm Lance Meadows saying so long from Massapequa, New York. The Chiefs victorious over the Sailors, the final 36-33. Have a good one.